Miami Community Redevelopment Agency Advisory Committee meeting of this Monday, March 11th, 2019. Can we begin with roll call, please?
Ms. Cobo?
Here.
Ms. Cohen? Mr. Each?
Here.
Miss Estime Irvin is running late. Ms. Geimer?
Here.
Mr. McDermott?
Present?
Mr. Reynolds is on his way. Mr. Sanchez?
Here.
Ms. Couch?
Here.
We have quorum, Chair.
Okay. All right. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let the record show, Mr. Chair, that Mr. Reynolds is here.
Yay!
Hey, Clark.
Only 2 minutes left.
That's good.
Okay.
Were
Can
you
we
here
have?
when we went
What?
to digital?
What did you do here?
Yeah, right? Were you here when we went to digital?
No.
Do you see?
Oh, no.
That's been how?
See, that's what happens when you're
So you gotta
gone.
swipe,
I brought
swipe,
a pen.
swipe now.
You know, so I can doodle. Now what am I
You
going to
gotta
do?
swipe, swipe, swipe.
When I'm being aggravated, I doodle. So.
Mr. Chair, just a brief comment before we go on the agenda. I'd like to introduce Mr. John Herron, who's here standing in for Mr. Zelkowitz, who is on vacation. He is our legal counsel for tonight.
Okay, welcome,
So-
John.
So John, you went over to the new firm too?
Not with with Steve and the original group. I was looking, and not to the recruitment firm that I was working with put me in contact with Fox along with some other firms, and ultimately Fox was the one that made the best offer for me and made the most sense, and so here I am.
Wow, looks like the old firm's a leaky ship, huh?
Yeah, it's got issues.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
All right.
Mr.
welcome.
Chair.
Thank you.
All right.
Can I have okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of last month's meeting?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to our items for agenda item number 1.
Yes, before you, Mr. Alberto Destrade, the procurement director, is going to present the,
Yeah,
you swipe?
Bouncing back and forth.
Let me-
See, we need to go back to paper. I'm telling you.
It's all right, you should have seen it the first night.
Oh my God.
One on one.
Watch out for now. Hey, yeah.
Here, you can use mine.
Item number 1.
What are we
Approval of
doing here?
minutes.
I have a hard copy.
You can't have it.
Okay, that's right. It's not. Yeah.
Okay. Give me your notes. It's not swiping. All right, you can go, Alberto.
There's
I have a
another
hard
one.
copy.
Okay.
You want to try this one?
Want to introduce
All right,
yourself?
good evening, everyone, committee members. My name is Alberto Estrade, Purchasing Director. The item that you have before you really is sort of a culmination of our negotiations with the firm, the architectural firm, Sinulowski Romanek Say. This firm was selected by an evaluation committee in response to a solicitation that was issued by my office. The title of the solicitation is RFQ 611718, and it was issued seeking solicitations for AE services, architectural engineering services, for a new community center and ancillary improvements with the purpose of replacing the current Griffin Community Center. If you'll recall, back in January of this year, the selection of Sinulowski Romanek Say, the architectural firm, was submitted to your committee for your review and approval, and the committee recommended approval, subsequently approved by the board, the CRA board, on January 8th, for us to proceed with negotiations with the firm for the initial phase. This will be the initial programming and scope definition for this particular project. Essentially, this is the pre-design phase of the project, And what it will include in terms of what they're going to be doing during this initial phase is, if you'll look in the council report, excuse me, the committee report that was submitted in support of the item, among the various tasks that we've negotiated, the firm will be developing a program and final scope definition, which shall serve as the basis for the actual design and development of the project. In other words, they're going to be gathering information, they're going to be doing due diligence, meeting with stakeholders to basically develop a final program or scope for this new community center. On the second item there, also meeting with elected officials. They'll be meeting with staff and stakeholders to research and clearly understand the project goals and objectives. In addition, the firm will also be researching and investigating the existing site conditions and limitations that may be presented with the site itself in terms of zoning, land development regulations, existing utilities, etc. The firm will also be preparing periodic progress reports and making presentations to the various stakeholders, including at meetings before your committee and the elected officials, and also community town hall meetings. Moreover, the firm will also be preparing preliminary project schedules and estimates of the overall, the final construction costs for this project. Finally, the firm will also prepare what's referenced as a final program, and, which will be summarizing and documenting the results of their research and analysis. And this will also include some conceptual drawings of the proposed facility, of the new facility. They will also be making recommendations for the successful execution of this project. Here this evening with me, representing the firm, is Ms. Meryl Romanek, and she's one of the principals of the firm, and she has been very cooperative throughout this process in terms of negotiating this initial phase. And if you have any questions, either of her or myself, the recommendation is for a not to exceed amount of $84,000 for this initial phase, and the anticipated completion time is approximately 18 weeks. Obviously, this is subject to any additional requests from the city or from the stakeholders, but that's approximately what we have in terms of this initial pre-design phase. And if you have any questions for either myself or for Ms. Romanek, I'm sure that we'll be glad to take them.
Okay, no, I can just add that the firm has a great reputation, and I'm sure they'll do a wonderful job. Does anyone like to make a motion in regards to this, or has
No, I
any
think that's a
question?
question
Okay,
comment.
go ahead.
I just would, like to know, how are they going to solicit the input from the, community? So you said broadly that that's gonna be solicited, and so how is that gonna be done?
Well, it's a combination of different tasks and activities. You know, when you use the phrase stakeholders, there's a number of different stakeholders here. You know, obviously you have the community as probably the most important stakeholder, but in addition to the community and their input, you obviously have the elected officials. You know, they're also stakeholders in this. This is a fairly significant project for the city. In addition to that, you also have obviously staff and their input in terms of, you know, programmatic and operational issues. You know, and they're meeting with us, and what they're going to be doing, and I don't know if Meryl would like to speak to that, but really it's initial summarizing and sort of filtering the information that's received from all these various stakeholders. Now, you know, keep in mind that obviously not everybody's wish, this wish list, you know, not everything is either practical or realistic or economically feasible for a project like this. But part of what they're going to be doing is to reviewing that and also making their recommendations. They're our consultant. They're also our sort of, you know, our experts to kind of guide this process.
I'm sorry.
They're gonna have community meetings.
That's what I want
Yeah.
specifics.
They're gonna have
When you
community
say-
meetings.
Okay,
Meryl, would you like to come
Just
up
stand
and
up.
introduce yourself?
They're also
and-
gonna interview the end users, cause it is an adult,
correct.
center, so we do have a senior program. The manager made sure that we did incorporate the end users to make sure that we have that, the residents, but they're gonna schedule community meetings throughout and, you know, make it public announcement to get as much information as we
Okay,
can.
Meryl, you wanna introduce yourself? or-
Sure, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Meryl Romanek from Sinalofsky Romanek IA. Thank you for having us here tonight. I wanted to kind of reassure you about how the process will unfold. Initially, typically, when we start these kind of journeys with a group and try to build consensus, is that we will meet with staff first, because they're the ones that are hands-on, on the ground, hearing feedback, getting information, dealing with the realities of the existing facility, identifying the programs they offer clearly today, the programs that they would love to have, just don't have the right space, the right facility to do so. So it will kind of help steer the effort when we do meet with the community. We've already identified that we will have some meetings separate with the seniors, because we understand that they're typically at the facility during the daytimes. Wednesdays, Thursdays are usually better days for them. They can build it into their meetings with them, so we'll be a part of their agenda and get their kind of wish list as far as types of spaces, what they'd like to see, how they would like it to operate and function. Then we'll meet with the community at large, and those would be evening meetings, so that we can accommodate the folks that work and, you know, have families, and kind of cross-generational, and make sure that we're capturing potentially every end user that we can. Obviously, we can invite them. We can't force them to come, but whoever comes, comes. And really, we will also meet with the elected officials. We understand that there are a lot of stakeholders that are part of making sure that this is successful. Our job is to be consensus builders in this process. Like Alberto said, we cannot promise everybody that everybody's getting everything that they ask for, but what we can do is start really honing in on what we hear repetitively, what we hear strongly, what we hear kind of run the numbers fiscally, because some things that we may hear a lot may not make sense, because the name of the game right now also is building a lot of flexibility into spaces, so that it can be this by day, this by afternoon, and maybe something else by evening, so that you all can maximize in your investment also. So we're going to try to look at it in a broad stroke. We will look at it then as a program and start to develop the list, if you will, of the type of space and the scale of the space. Obviously, review it with staff again and input from the board. And then we will start to develop schematics, and then go back to the community one more time to share with them kind of the direction we're considering heading, so that they have a chance to speak at that time as well. So we want to make sure that it's not just say it once, and if you happen to miss that meeting, you can't participate, we will come back to them and share with them the process, and assure them that it is a process that we're going to go through. That again, not everything that was asked will be there, but we're trying to build as much consensus.
And I think that's great, and I think everybody's very concerned about transparency and all this kind of thing now, so I think that's very important. But I do need to go on record that I want a branch library there, so I've already put my,
I heard what you
request in.
said. Let's see where the path goes, right? We'll
Right,
we'll see.
okay, and I
Ken-
will
Oh, okay.
move to accept unless.
Okay, Kenny, you had a question?
I have some questions with the statement, if you could elaborate on it a little bit more. I'm looking at phase one due diligence, phase one program and schematic designs, conceptual designs, imagery approval, and it seems like it overlaps. When I'm reading the narrative here under phase one, what do you mean by due diligence?
Due diligence is our homework on the site itself. Okay, it's our homework on the site itself. Inherent to the site are, each parcel has its own, zoning information that comes with it, because I'm reminding you that we have the waterfront site and then we have the triangular site. So what the zoning regulations allow for, what we're able to do, what the setback requirements are, parking requirements, all that kind of homework we're going to do. We're also going to do homework on, we're going to do a survey. You can get an updated survey for both parcels and the street, because the street could be and should be part of how we solve this scenario because it is a part of our reality that we've got Griffin Boulevard coming between those two parcels. So we will, part of that fee is getting an updated survey that reflects everything that is there today. We also will have our landscape architect out there who, the survey will identify the trees, but we're gonna have them go out there and identify the condition of those trees. So it's not enough to say, yeah, there's a tree there and assume that it's in good shape.
That all encompasses under due diligence. and
Correct.
that's separate
Same
under
thing,
program.
right, and with civil engineers, same thing. We're gonna have them research water, sewer, sanitary, everything that's in the ground, what we've got to tap into, what we can connect to, kind of really understand what the good, bad, and the not-so-nice yucky stuff of the site is.
Thank you for.
No problem.
Alberto,
The other
the-
question I have is on
Sorry.
reimbursable allowances, what does that entail?
Well, reimbursable allowances are, to give you an idea, things such as cost of copy, when they have to reproduce certain materials,
Poster board.
yeah,
for
poster boards,
presentation.
things of that nature. And by the way, all of those have to be with the approval of staff, obviously. They can't just simply, go crazy, exactly. So, but that's all, that's just an amount that's included in there for any kind of items. And I think they've even provided a list there
Yeah.
of some of the items, some of the samples, if you will, Chief.
Well, I see under architectural hourly building rates, the principal, the design architect, the job captain, is that a person that's actually on the site, the job captain?
No, it's someone in,
It'll be someone in the office because we're really not at a place where we're constructing yet. So, or the job captain will be somebody that's in the office that takes leadership on doing some of the due diligence for us, researching things, kind of helping to steer the intern architects that are actually drafting. So, and with the reimbursables, it may come up that we decide, you know what, let's do an asbestos test on the existing building. Let's have a record of that. It just gives us the flexibility to reach out for a test, sampling, something, it's geotechnical report. We may want to understand what the quality of the soil is, so that's another, so it gives us a little bit of flexibility to have some numbers to let those things occur.
So Alberto, so actually you're asking for $88,204.20.
No, actually, we're asking, the amount is correct. The amount that's included in the report, it says not to exceed $84,000. We've had an opportunity to discuss. The proposal that you have was a proposal from the firm, and Merrill has been, again, cooperative enough that they're willing to work with us on capping this at $84,000, and so we've already discussed this, and they're willing to make certain concessions, if you will.
Okay.
So it's going to be capped at $84,000.
Inez?
So it's capped at 84.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay,
I
thank
was
you.
just gonna say, if you're ready for a motion,
Yes.
make the motion to,
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good, I got you, and I don't need that. When you say under these hourly billable rates, and you say labor rates is hourly wage and multiplier
By
free,
3, yeah.
are those exclusive of these, or are these
Well,
rates that you already have? Is the principal gonna make $618 an hour?
no, that's already included in there. No, the multiplier is already included, and typically, just, for the record, the multiplier includes essentially 3 different components. It's the overhead, the fringe benefits, and also their profit. So it includes overhead, benefits, and profit. And by the way, also, as a matter of concession, I think they've also agreed to perhaps lower that, the multiplier, a little bit. So they're willing to work with us.
Explain that a little bit better, because I'm lost.
Well,
Does that mean they're getting more than the 200?
No.
That's,
The
all of that
multiplier's
is
already
included in
in there,
206.
right.
That's including this hourly rate, fringe benefits, the overheads.
That statement's superfluous.
right,
I'm taking it out.
right, I agree.
Right, it's just a description.
Description
That's-
of, it's a
Those-
standard
those-
description
Yeah,
of,
those
how
rates
these
that you
things
see
are done.
there are what they would commonly refer to as fully loaded rates.
yes.
Those are rates that are actually inclusive of the
Fully
multiplier.
loaded rates.
Fully loaded. In other words, when a firm, when they're providing any of their employees to render a service, obviously you have the employee has their salary, right, their actual salary.
Plus,
But as with any firm, you know, they've got to be able to cover their overhead and profit. So the actual billable rate, which is the fully loaded rate, is that person's actual salary times what's called the multiplier, which is the overhead and profit for the firm. That's standard in the industry.
Right.
So what you have there are the actual billable rates. They're fully loaded. In other words, that's not the actual salary of any of those folks there. That is not their actual salary.
Three
You'd
times
have to
less.
rework the math, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Right, yeah, the word included might have been there, or this includes.
That's fine. You're right.
Okay.
No, I understand.
Seriously?
I understand.
Speak up.
Well, I would say that has been discussed is, it's not to exceed.
Yeah.
So everything is included in,
Right.
in
Not
that,
to exceed.
that dollar figure.
Yeah.
But then
Right.
we'll never get lower.
Yeah, and maybe we are so lucky that he will not go to 84.
Yeah.
He can be 73.
Well, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
Right, Mary?
So, you
I
have a
like that. I
motion
like
from
that
Ms.
thinking.
Couch?
Sally, you're like dreaming.
No, you may dream,
It'll
but.
be
Nice.
84. It'll be 84.
Okay.
All right, you have a motion
We
from
have
Ms.
a
Couch.
motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Merrill, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck on the project.
Bye. Any report from the CRA attorney, new,
Nothing.
except he's on vacation?
Oh.
Yes, 5:30 on the dot. For the executive director's report, before I let Chief Bria, come up, I just wanted to mention two things. One, for those of you that missed it, last week I was at the, P3 conference with the city manager, and Alberto went, the procurement director, and P3 means public-private partnerships. And that's where you not only learn about the process for, you know, creating such a development, but also making contacts, meeting with developers and private entities, and so on and so forth. So it was very interesting, very informative. We learned a lot. Also, Alberto learned a lot, the procurement director. And so we're gonna incorporate what we learned and the relationships that we established for the downtown redevelopment, and that's the point of going to these conferences. So I wanted to mention that. Lastly, I had Elizabeth email you, again, session is on, and again, CRAs are under attack. Yeah, there are several items, or two items up. The main one is always trying to sunset all CRAs, so this one is till 2038. I mean, our
No, we-
28 or 39. Ours normally sunsets 2044, so, you know, they're trying to knock off a few years again. They wanna keep other CRAs from being created, so you would need 2/3 vote from state legislature and things like that. So some of the stuff, to me, it's okay, we're already doing it in the reporting, we're very transparent, you know, people know what we're doing, and, you know, in terms of dollars and so on, we're always making sure everybody knows about it. But the whole CRA is being, again, I can't say attacked, but it's being, reviewed
Okay.
by, you know,
There's no other
the
good word for it.
Republican legislature on the north side of Florida.
Right.
So I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of it. So you'll be getting, as things are happening from our, Florida Redevelopment Association, whenever they email me, we will forward it to you so you know and you're aware of what's happening.
We don't have to vote on it, right?
Not you, no, it's
No,
just
no.
more information and FYI, and for you to be aware, and obviously there's always a call to action, you know, we're always
Right, and
asking
if
people to
anybody
please
happens
make
to-
sure,
If anybody happens to be friendly with a state legislator or
yeah,
on the House or Senate side, please give them a call and say that, you know, we don't want these bills to pass,
Donna
limiting
Campbell.
CRAs, huh?
Donna Campbell, we know her, right?
Yeah.
The senator.
no,
She's not the senator.
she's not the senator anymore.
Bueno.
No,
Jason
Jason Pizzo.
Oh,
But
okay,
I
okay,
think on
yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah.
on the
Yeah, yeah.
email, there's a list of the
Yeah,
people
it's
who's on the
on there.
committee with their information, if you
Let's
scroll
go-
down at the bottom.
Let's talk to Jason.
Dotsie Joseph,
Right.
but they're not on the committee specific, that's the thing. So on the email, you'll see the names of the people that are on the committee, and, if you know anybody, like the chairman said, please, you know, voice your support as to what, you
Be
know, what we've
proactive
been
in-
doing.
Be proactive in protecting
Alright.
the CRAs, is
Yes.
the bottom line.
Thank you.
Right now, they don't have anything to do with the CRA.
We need,
Like, which city has a CRA? We don't have to consult them.
no,
No.
no.
No, right
We're
now.
established. What they're trying to do for us would be just to shorten the life of our
I
CRA.
don't think they should have anything to do with it.
Well,
Well-
you know, but the CRAs were created by state statutes.
Right.
They do,
So the
tweak
legislature
the
can have an
legislation,
impact.
annually, periodically, I should say. So, but yes, I mean, at the end of the day, it's always your governing, taxing authorities, either the county or the city, the municipality you're in, that usually has, more power on you, but the state once in a while.
Why is the push, what was the abuse of some of the CRAs in the past?
I
Is
think
that
it's,
still
I
lingering
don't
out
think it's
there?
so much
No.
of the abuse. There's a lot of
No.
cities, thanks to Rasha.
Sure.
I was able to go to
Oh.
the CRA conference, over in,
Fort Myers.
Fort Myers. And in sitting at a table talking to some of the cities, one of the big issues is that a lot of cities want the money from the CRA to go into their general fund, so that they can, that becomes more of the city budget rather than a CRA
Economic
budget. So,
budget.
I
Revitalize
understand that,
it.
so then why should that city in the first place create a CRA? If they didn't wanna do that, I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
well, don't forget.
I think what has taken place in the past, and correct me
Well,
if
Kenny,
I'm
don't-
wrong,
don't-
is that lingering, that some of the abuse that was put out.
Yeah, Kenny, one of the things is a lot of these cities that are trying to get the money back in the general fund have been cities that have very successful CRAs and have already accomplished a lot. So now, rather than, they say, okay, now you've had your turn at the plate, let us have a turn at the plate
Yeah.
and give the money back, so.
Well, can the city not itself sunset the CRA?
Okay, we're getting a little on the technical, it all
Yeah.
depends. I
just
think they're
wondering.
just trying to wipe it out, but you can, for us, when we're going through our extension and everything, the county put in their benchmarks, right?
Right.
They put in
Sure.
their requirements. So they could do that. I think they just don't wanna go through that process. They would rather just wipe it out. And just to bring back what, the chairman was saying, Margaritaville, Hollywood CRA is like the perfect example where they amassed a lot of property. They created this multi-million-dollar deal, right? And they sold that land for peanuts. And then the developer went and sold it to like an investment firm. It was in the paper. So the city and the elected officials felt like they lost out because now it was sold for all this amount of money, not seeing the value in the future tax revenues that this is bringing. So for them, they wanna just remove completely because they feel that that purpose has been met and they wanna take all the property tax revenues and just dictate how it goes.
Yeah, and don't
So that's
forget, don't forget the CRA funding. That's just, now, we're exceptional in it. We have one of the largest CRAs in the state. But some of these cities, their CRAs are relatively small.
Miami Beach is.
Okay, which means the money has to stay within that arena,
Specific
in that
geographic.
area. What the city officials want is to have it in the general fund where they can spread it out across the city and address some of their budgetary problems. That's just one of the
Many.
issues, but that is a big issue. I was meeting with someone with a CRA in Hollywood, and I was literally astounded how much money comes off that CRA. I mean, we're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars.
I think what they did now is the Hollywood CRA made a deal with the city or the county. They're funding their housing.
Right, 17%, they made a deal with the county, that 17% of all the money that comes off the CRA on the beach has to be used for, I may be
Affordable
mistaken,
housing.
but it has to be for building affordable housing. So it's not for like
Outside.
rehab or anything, it's for addressing the problem of actually building affordable housing. And that's, I think, 17% of all the money, which turns out to be a lot of money.
From Margaritaville, it's a lot of money.
By itself.
So-
Can we do that here?
We do a minimum of 10% of our
10%?
revenue already, so like this year we gave the housing department 550,000. So as our TIF grows, we are always budget a minimum, it's actually, it comes up to almost 17% because we give minimum of, like, we give 10%, but we fund a housing coordinator and a housing inspector, we pay to staff, the program.
And the difference is
So-
their money is specifically for new construction
Yeah, ours is single family, multifamily.
Right.
For now and so on.
to address, because
So-
everybody's got the affordable housing
Yeah.
problem.
So lastly, our next year, the FRA conference in October will be in Tampa this year. If anybody's interested and wanna go,
I'm
please
going
let
to
me
go.
know
I
in
wanna go.
advance. Okay. Please let me know in advance so I can make sure it's in my budget, for when we're going up.
I advise
So-
anybody who can go, it's really informative because you
It's
get,
always in October,
yeah, and you get to
like
sit.
23rd to the, yeah.
And you get to sit you get to sit and talk with other cities. Like the table I was at for dinner, there was like 7 different cities all sitting at the same table. So you really get a real feel of what other cities are doing and the problems that they're having. And it's great conversation.
A lot of best practices.
Best
It's a great
practices, yeah,
opportunity
yeah.
to learn from others and to see sometimes that you're actually doing great work in your own neighborhood.
That's right. And
So-
you know, I think this year, we're gonna be recognized because we've done a lot.
Yeah, I hope so. In June,
Yeah.
we have to, that's when they request for, award,
Yeah.
applications, so we'll probably put in like for 3
Yeah.
again to see if we get,
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
So, and lastly, Chief Bria is gonna present now, I think you missed it, but, Chief Beige is now the Chief of Police of Fort Walton Beach.
Yes.
He has left us, he has left us
Yeah.
already, left the building.
Dinner the other night, but I don't remember when he was.
He has
leaving.
left the
Well, we
building.
gave him a farewell party on Wednesday, last Wednesday, sending him off to Fort Walton Beach, and it's a great endeavor for him. He'll be sorely missed here. We love him to death, but also it's an advancement to be a chief somewhere else.
Right.
And another place to take his kids and his family. It's a new beginning, but we wish him well. He'll be back in a month to get his kids, to see his wife, sell
To
his
see his
home.
wife or sell his wife?
No, sell his home.
Okay, so they see his
Sell-
wife.
No, sell his home, and then once the kids finish school, they'll be moving up there. So we wish him well, and he'll be sorely missed, for sure. But he was able to do the last CRA report. You know how he is, efficient and always on task. He already did the downtown CRA off-duty report from October 1st to December the 31st. And then we'll briefly report, officers working the downtown CRA detail from October the 1st to December the 31st, made 710 business contacts in which they were actively engaged with business owners and workers in conversations relating to security, safety of the downtown CRA area. In addition, officers performed 1,135 business checks, 1,185 parking lot checks, answered 9 calls for service in the downtown CRA area to expedite police service, made contacts with 1,352 visitors in the downtown CRA area, and officers also patrolled the City Hall area 156 times. To highlight some of the highlights of some of the downtown CRA was to welcome the new business at 711 Northeast 125th Street, patrol Jazz at Mocha, Art Basel, several Mocha events, patrol holiday light ceremonies, responded to assist with several disturbance calls where we're able to quickly settle them. They were able to quickly settle them, assist in removing trespassers, larders. One trespasser who had a bench warrant was arrested, conduct Segway patrol, parking dispute, enforce disabled parking spots, entered Walgreens and noticed person looking suspicious. Management told the officers that person stole items, and officers immediately stopped the person. The CRA officer was able to recover stolen property, and subjects were arrested. Some of the, from October the 1st to December the 31st were 6 Part 1 crime reported from the hours of 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. We had a total of 9 Part 1 crimes in the various locations of 800 block Northeast 125th, 600 block of Northeast 125th, 700 block of Northeast 125th, Northeast 123rd, Northeast 6th to Northeast 6th Court, 700 block to Northeast 125th, and they were for various crimes of pocket picking,
Yeah, pocket picking.
Pickpocketing.
Yeah,
Pickpocketing.
pocketing, I know, but that's what he wrote.
I was gonna say pickpocketing, theft from buildings, purse snatching, domestic robbery, theft from a motor vehicle parts, theft from motor vehicle, and theft. Those were some of the
What's
highlights.
a domestic robbery? I've been out of the game a long time.
Say that again?
What's a domestic robbery?
Robberies that that's domestically related.
Boyfriend,
It's
girlfriend
and
disputes.
Girlfriend,
one
husband, and
stall.
wife,
Yeah.
and then they rob them in
Yeah,
turn.
he has it right here. It happened behind Billy's Pub, in the narrative. Okay, the northwest part.
Northwest, CRA off-duty from October the 1st to December the 1st. Officers working the Northwest CRA detail made 300 business contacts in which they actively engage business owners and workers in conversation relating to security and safety of the Northwest CRA area. In addition, officers performed 542 business checks, 540 parking lot checks, answered 2 calls for service, expedite police service, and made contact with 536 people in the Northwest CRA area. Some of the highlights: the 7-Eleven, CVS, AutoZone. They addressed criminal and quality of life issues. Provided immediate assistance to persons that overdosed in the area. Was able to stop and arrest a shoplifter. Responded and assisted with several disturbance calls and were able to quickly settle them. Assist with the recovering a stolen vehicle. And then we had about 15 Part 1 crimes reported in that time period. The same period as 2017 in December. And that was pretty much it.
Thank you. And in terms of update also, I was just talking to Chief Bria, the license plate readers, we're actually meeting with the company. They're gonna pull the permits so they can start putting in the license plate reader, and then they're gonna schedule the training of the police department so they know how to use and operate it. So we'll keep you informed as it happens.
And the Ring doorbell?
Oh, and the Ring doorbell, the CRA paid for like 63 Ring doorbells. They were received by the police department, so now we're working with because we do the housing program, so we're working with the housing department for the seniors that are, vulnerable and who would like to have it. And then afterwards, I think the police has already been gathering a list. This comes with a 1-year service. We pay for the 1-year service of the Ring doorbell and the whole hookup and everything. So that's also done through the police.
By the way,
Major Anne-Marie Cardona will be taking over the CRA detail. She'll be the one that's reporting the reports. She'll be also dealing with the LPR and the camera. So Anne-Marie's not here because she's also spearheading the mounted detail, our new mounted detail that's coming
that's exciting.
That's exciting. 2 beautiful
We're
horses.
gonna have,
Horse,
we're gonna have
mounted.
equestrian
Mounted
units.
horse coming to our area. It's be a detail, for the most part in the beginning. Hopefully it'll grow, but it's a beautiful endeavor. It's a community relations endeavor. And, we've had, 2 horses donated, but one didn't work out. He had some type of rash. And so, we had to purchase another horse, but we're looking for donations and we're looking to get this going and make sure that it's in our budget the following year, but it's not in our
That's
budget this year. So we do. We were able to purchase the second horse. So, Anne Marie and Officer Seda are the two officers that have gone to the mounted, training for 6 weeks. And they're graduating this coming Friday.
Wow.
Yes, for 6 weeks, riding those horses, taming them, getting used to them, because they could be unpredictable animals. For me, that's something that's way above my age, not my pay grade, my age. But Anne Marie took it on, and so did Seda, and then we have 2 officers following after that. So we're hoping that the community receives the mounted details very well, and it goes off without a hitch. But I believe that it's gonna be quite addition to our police department.
Mostly downtown?
Mostly the downtown corridor, the Biscayne area corridor.
Okay.
It's mostly for the business areas for now, until we still don't have funding for a trailer, so we have to transport those horses to that area, offload them, and get them to walk that area. And then we have to transport them back to where we're housing them at Channel Forest.
Who else has, Miami has it, Miami Beach?
Miami is the only agency that has mounted for the whole county.
Didn't the beach have it?
No, Davie has it.
Right.
Davie.
I know.
They're a horse
Carl
country.
Gables is
That makes
looking at
sense.
it. Carl Gables is looking at becoming, starting that program. But Davie has it, but we're the only one in the whole Dade County.
That's,
So now we'll be the second.
Well, we have, when I was upstate at an art festival, and they had the CRA was sponsoring mounted units, and it really made a difference in
Right.
just the PR, and it just was
She really believes that, this is gonna bring something to the community, whereas the community
Chief.
can't,
Chief,
where the community can't, I guess, relate to a canine dog, because they're doing perimeter search and all that. Whereas a horse, they can go up and pat the horse. It's a friendlier encounter. And then for our officers to be more visible during the business corridors and stuff like that, I think it's gonna be a great, addition to our unit, to our department, I really do. And the fact that the city is training us and they've accepted us, they've done a lot of partnership with us, so they've embraced us really well. Trained the chief this past week for 3 days, so we have great pictures, and, we're hoping that this is gonna be really go off without a hitch.
There are many advantages.
oh, yeah.
Very,
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, not only from a crime suppression advantage, but the public relations advantage.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said with the
Right.
canine, but
Yeah.
the mere fact that you have a visible officer is a lot of times a deterrent
Right.
for the bad guy, and he sees that officer out there, and it makes that
Especially for the
officer much
Arcade
more prominent
Plaza,
and visible.
for the Home Depot, for
Yeah.
all of
And
those businesses.
Home Depot, they
Home
get ripped
Depot.
off left and right. That's a
But then
great
now
thing.
Home Depot has off-duty.
I've seen
So
that. Oh, wow.
off-duty made a difference at Home Depot, and they've been trying to implement that for a year. And they've finally come to the plate, and they've had an off-duty, and we're hoping that Arcade Plaza also bring in an off-duty.
Yeah, that would be
And then some of the other, some of the other plazas.
Well, I
So
tell you
we're
what,
hoping-
I think that this whole program, I think Councilwoman Keys, I think, was the one who was motivating it behind it in the beginning. But it's really made a difference in downtown. The police, the force has really made a big difference. And Seventh Avenue, I mean, people who are on Seventh Avenue tell me it really has made a big difference in safety and the perception of safety and that kind of thing, so.
So we're very excited about the new mounted unit.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be
Very
cool.
excited. So
Are we
thank
gonna
you.
keep them over at the stable?
We're gonna keep them at Enchanted. Enchanted has partnered with us. We have 2 stables that will say North
That's
Miami
excellent.
Police. We have given them in return security, camera footage, hopefully, that kind of stuff. We're partnering with them, so we're hoping that our partnership works out with Enchanted for us.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
And then,
I have 2 questions. Are you dealing with the speed limit in 120 feet and all those things? Because when those horses are there with the police officer and those crazy people running like crazy, speeding and
Well, that's why they've been to the training. Miami is very, the Bayfront Park area, all the downtown area, they went out on 8th Street, and 8th Street gets very busy. So they've learned to anticipate some of this traffic, some of the people, and then to make sure that they place the horse in a certain kind of way, and then for them to react a certain kind of way, because they're animals and we don't know what to expect. So they know pretty much what to do after 6 months of training, how to keep them away from that kind of stuff.
additionally, the city got a grant from FDOT to put medians on 125th Street. That's gonna start soon. That's
Yeah,
from
it's coming up.
6th through 10th.
Wow.
John O'Brien had already had, community meetings with the businesses and so on. The issue, right here, yes,
6
northeast,
to 10?
yeah, that's
Why
what
not
the,
6 to 12?
cause that's where the money,
WJ Bryan is there.
the money from the FDOT will take it from 6 to 10. I'm pretty sure
Right.
they'll find more money after, but right now, we're gonna take what the FDOT gave us because it's a matching
Right.
grant and the city is actually matching it. The biggest issue we had that, that we were working on is a lot of the businesses here did not wanna give up the on-street parking. Okay, because to them, the parking in front of their business is prime, and, but then again, remember, we have city parking lots in the back, right?
Yeah.
And the median will allow the traffic to slow, as you're saying, and people can properly cross the street and patronize the businesses. So a lot of the challenges, and like I said, John O'Brien, the Public Works Department had several, community meetings. They had one most recently, and even at the day pack, they had the presentation
Right.
to explain to people again this is gonna help. So it is a traffic calming method, and the fact that FDOT is funding it is wonderful. It's gonna come up like in the next, he said July 1st, the work is gonna start.
Yeah.
Good.
So that's an advisory to you all. Construction will be on 125th Street, don't, you know,
there is-
My second question, please.
from
My
6 to
second
10.
question, are you aware that we have stable in that park, 16th Avenue and 135th?
That's Enchanted, that's Enchanted, that's what it's called.
That is where you will.
Yeah, yeah,
That's where we're gonna house both of our horses.
yeah, that's
One
Enchanted.
is called Wesley like Wesley Snipes. And the other one, I forgot his name. The other one is named, so. Justice.
Wheel.
Yeah, so,
So we'll see.
one last update, I wanted to give one last update. Our street sweeper that we paid for has arrived.
Yay.
We're wrapping it right now, right? We're gonna match it with the Clean Team Task Force colors and logo, but it will have CRA, you know me, all over it. And then, so when it's ready to come out, I will let you guys know. We'll have, you know, pictures to publish in our annual report and so on and so forth. But I wanted you to know, because remember, we passed this,
Right.
you know, it's like 8 months. It takes 8 months to order. And so it has arrived. And Mr. Geimer, my project manager, is the one managing it right now.
Well, I'll tell you, I think that our department, our police department, and our city council and our CRA are all being very visionary in all the things that are going on with the, let's say, our city council and department with, you know, the CRA and of course Rasha, and she's always on the front lines of everything, and you know, new ideas and new things and new way to look at, and it's all gonna be exciting things for our city moving forward.
Okay, that's about it.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Any old business? Oh, you moved?
And our, any attorney report?
Nope.
I'm gonna get it, because we just got a new budget director. She just started, she's coming next month. Yeah.
Okay, is there any, no thundering herds?
Ms. Geimer moved
Pardon?
No public
You
comment.
moved, where'd you move
to
to?
adjourn.
What?
To adjourn.
Okay, we have a second?
Yeah.
All in
I'm
favor,
there.
say aye.
Aye. Yeah, Mr. Each, we got a budget director,
Yeah, yeah. This is
a
really
budget
nice. I
director.
like
Her
it.
name is Rosalind Morgan.